So good afternoon. Thank you, Dan, for the very warm welcome. It is a privilege to be here today. It's my first visit to beautiful Bucharest. So I arrived yesterday, and I'm hoping to explore a bit of the city tomorrow. So once again, thanks for the very warm welcome. And the next 25 minutes or so, I wanted to give you a bit of an insight and try and give meaning to these words of digital, innovation, transformation, and how we, as Konica Minolta, are undergoing this massive internal transformation, as well as with our clients as well. So digital, people say digital means everything needs to go online. We all need to be mobile. So to start off with, I know you've just had lunch, so I call it the twilight zone. I have a very short video, not of myself at the moment, but the next slide will show you my view of what digital could potentially be. If we can please play the video.
Emma. Huh? Emma. Not anymore. Emma. Every day it's getting on my nerves. Emma. Oh, I'm Emma. Emma.
Great. So, innovation and digital is really not about everything that needs to be digitized and happen online. Konica Minolta, as you may know, or may not know, is more known for our camera business. And typically, if I was to ask the audience, what is your association with Konica and/or Minolta? We merged together back in 2004, and it is A, you're a camera business, which incidentally we sold in 2007, and B, you are a printer company. But in fact, we are far, far more than that as well. Of course, from a print point of view, we have around 80% share in terms of our revenue, and 80% is focusing on multifunction printers, etc. We have around 9–10% on healthcare. Healthcare focusing on mammography, radiography products. Industrial solutions are quite interesting. I'm becoming more and more interested in color, and especially color from a photography point of view, but equally, anything the eyes can see can be measured as color. And what I've recently learnt is that we also produce color measurement instruments. So we measure color, but equally, this is a beautiful venue, and we measure light. How does light impact how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, and the way I'm working? And a fun fact of the day of the business, planetariums. So we have 2 fully immersive planetariums in Tokyo. So if ever anyone visits Tokyo, let me know. We will be more than happy to host you there as well. So around 3.5 years ago, we established a new function called the Business Innovation Center. And the point there was, we started with a blank piece of paper. What would the future of Konica Minolta look like from an innovation and transformation point of view? But it wasn't that, so said, oh, Milan, you're part of the innovation team, go and innovate. But in fact, on the contrary, we've been going for over 145 years now and innovating all the way through. The purpose for us felt like a startup, really, in this massive organization, a family of around 44,000 people as well. So we established these business innovation centers, of which there are 5. I'm part of the European team. We have one in the US. We also have another one in Tokyo, which is our mothership, in Japan, in Singapore for Asia Pacific, and a very small one in Shanghai in China. So why? Why did we do this, and what is the need for this transformation? Number 1 and number 2 is really transforming ourselves, but also supporting the transfer of our customers as well. Number 2, we look at the betterment of society. So everything we do needs to be focused on society. Number 3, value is key. So is it technology innovation, or is it business innovation? And what's more key? What value do we create for ourselves, and what value do we create for our customers? But what's more important is really understanding our customer's customer and creating the value for them ultimately. Number 4, culture is key, where a lot of times the people aspect is really overlooked. And we need to be technology-led. Actually, no, my personal belief is we need to be people-centric, and then technology becomes an enabler and a supporter to drive that forward. And number 5 is really bridging this gap from physical to digital as well. Okay. I don't know how many people, everyone looks quite young here, so you may not be familiar with all these things. I certainly own a couple of these things at home. And we say, let's become more digital. So of course that becomes towards mobile. But is everything really towards mobilization? We're in a conference that's focusing about mobile, and I feel it's really a complementary way for us to engage with a customer and people as well. So where does this work? If we look at this lovely picture here as well, and we're all documenting our social events. So I call it social documentation. Here's the great cup of tea that I'm having, or here's where I woke up this morning. This is the view, and this is the coffee afterwards, or this is the tea afterwards. But I don't know if you notice this lovely, lovely lady who is really enjoying the moment. So when we think about transformation, also remember this generation X, Y, Z, Alpha, social, whatever may come next. And we need to ensure that we take care of all generations that are adapting to change. So, digital transformation, what is it, really? This is my personal view. I think there's a lot of times and confusion when people say, we're innovating and we're transforming at the bottom layer, the incremental innovation. But personally, I think when you're typically improving processes as part of continuous improvement, that to me is not transformative enough. The top two, when we think about transformative as well as disruptive. So an example of where we are. So this year, Konica Minolta has set a 3-year global strategy of transforming our business model from B to B to C, i.e. business to consumer, business to client, business to customer, to B to P, and where the P stands for person on the edge or cusp of personalization. And so everything we're doing is really metamorphosizing. And if we think about a caterpillar, as a caterpillar starts running faster, it wants to disrupt. It wants to start growing wings. But if it's just walking faster, it's still a caterpillar. But when you truly transform and disrupt, it soon enough becomes a butterfly, which you didn't even know it can become. So what we're aiming to do is to metamorphosize our whole entire business globally. However, there are some myths around digital transformation, and just covering these 3 myths. Firstly, on the left-hand side, that we have a digital transformation program. It sits somewhere and they'll deal with it. Not true. Digital transformation has an end line. So by 2020 or 2025, we will be fully digitized. Again, not true as well. And the third myth is that everything needs to be an online business to be digital. Actually, no, it doesn't, for sure, because people are at the heart of everything that we do. I introduced a term later on called a digital cortex, and the interpretation of a digital cortex is really not replicating the physical world in a digital way. It should not be the internet of everything, my opinion. What we want to do is to digitize processes to ensure that we as human beings are empowered to make better, faster, more accurate decisions so that we can become more efficient and so on. So this focus area for Konica Minolta was really thinking about how do we then take that theory and put it into practice. So on the left-hand side, you see the transformation starting from being a hardware supplier, i.e. providing print, but doing much more. So how do we transform into an organization that provides ICT, so information communication technology services, and beyond that, ensuring that everything that we do is sustainable. So environmentally friendly is a must in everything that we produce, products, services, all the way through. The third area on the right-hand side speaks about diversity and innovation. Diversity for me is, it comes in two shapes and sizes. One is not only about diversity of humans, so male, female, etc. I think we're beyond that, certainly. It's much more important around the mindset. So the diversity of the mind and what they can contribute towards the success. Number two is diversification of the portfolio. What we're doing now will not be sustained enough in the next 5 years. So how do we diversify our portfolio further? And then giving innovation a meaning as well. So it is really bridging this gap between how we are and what we're doing right now to transform ourselves to a digital association. So if I can just have a quick hands up, who here is working on something related to do with innovation and transformation? It's about 10%? Okay, so 10% of the people in here. And what we're learning more and more here is really some of the challenges that our customers are facing. Where are ideas born? Who comes up with ideas? How are they managed? What platforms do we have in terms of managing the ideas and executing them as well? So we have lots and lots of experience around rewards and recognition, building this culture of innovation. And therefore, so we built a platform that's used internally and with our clients to facilitate a simple thing like ideas management. When people can give 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, we can see the popularity of the ideas. It then builds this momentum of everyone has something to share. So let's give that opportunity for people to do so as well. And then I think about the pillars of innovation. So what are the pillars of innovation? Firstly, innovation traditionally is measured from an R&D point of view. Now, how much money are we investing in R&D? Because that's our innovation fund. On the contrary, we're saying client-centric innovation is key. Konica Minolta invests around 600 million euro per year in R&D activities, and we have a focus on the business side. Secondly, partnership is key. We cannot stand up and say we do everything. And so those companies that are here present today, startups, entrepreneurs, we proactively really look where partnership can help us and we can help them together as well. Excuse me. And the third thing I wanted to mention is around investments. So from, let's say, a print point of view, about 2 years ago, we invested in a company called Wikitude. It brings augmented reality solutions to the company. And people said, why would Konica Minolta even look at augmented reality? Our first portfolio is bringing something which is printed to life. And so we've got some examples, some really good examples of how AR is developing, and that becomes part of our core portfolio as well. Okay, so how do we take a business idea through to commercialization? We have a very strict methodology that we use on having a small business idea and putting it into this funnel. I personally am not a huge fan of the funnel, but it has, you notice, lots of different holes. So we're consistently plugging in ideas. Naturally, some of the ideas fall out, and then towards the end, become more commercial. And there's what we call a stage gate process, where every single stage has a gate that needs approval, that then goes into commercialization. The key difference in terms of our approach is we're not here to, in quotes, let's just sell once something is commercialized. We are proactively looking for people and companies to help us market test something, test products and services. And the way we're doing this, which is quite interesting, I'm again learning more about from a design thinking point of view, is about personas. So you have a persona, your expectations are different to maybe what you might want or what someone in the back wants. How do we create a business that has a specific type of value depending on the persona that the individual has? And that becomes part of the overall business model as well. So, as I said, we started about 3.5 years ago with a blank piece of paper to look and define the future of Konica Minolta and what that might look like. So we have 4, potentially 5 growth areas, what we call growth platforms. On the left-hand side is around sensors and information automation. Sensors incorporates this view of Internet of Things, but to me, IoT is yet another buzzword as well. I'll try and speak fast, louder, sorry, but my voice is on its way out as well. So the sensors incorporates IoT, but IoT is not really a new thing at all. And information automation, people say big data. I like the words separately, for sure, but not together. It kills me completely, because I've heard it for 10 years. Everything's big data. Actually, no, because we go from big data to small data to meaningful data, and that then goes into predictive, and then into smart systems. And that's really the area where we are playing further. The second, around healthcare and digital healthcare, specifically focusing on cancer and cancer research, and I've got a video coming up shortly that will give you an insight into what that means. And the third is quite an interesting area. People talk about a digital workplace, and we've created a very physical, very physical card game, or you can call it a card method, where we work with customers to define a strategy of a digital workplace. So we have literally, based on design thinking, lots of cards, and we play this over half a day or a day. So very physical, and yet we talk about digital all day long. And it comes in 3 different areas. Number 1 is around people, number 2 around space, and number 3, device. So people to device, and space to space. The sound, as you heard, went louder, so how is that affecting how you're receiving me? And we then take that into account in building and assembling a digital workplace. The fourth, around business technologies, is really at the heart of everything that we're doing. So innovating on the core business, and I'll show you something that we're working on, which is really transformative for the organization. Looks busy. It's supposed to be, intentionally. So there are lots and lots of buzzwords, lots and lots of technologies, and so we said, all right, how do we give meaning to these? So machine learning, IoT, AR, biometrics, digital healthcare, etc., etc. So each of the 4 growth platforms you saw, we divided technologies from a short-term, mid-term, and long-term, and we plotted them on this innovation radar. And what you see at the bottom, we published this on our website, because we then invited startups, entrepreneurs, where they may have some solutions here, to say, look, this is something that can support the innovation radar because it fits our overall mission for our corporation, and therefore we explore partnership further. Some are developed in-house, some are through partners, and some is through acquisition as well. So this innovation radar is available if you wish to take a look at it at some point as well. And then this topic of AI comes in, artificial intelligence. What does that mean? Here, I talked about people, space, and device. And on the right-hand side is digital cortex. We're thinking about IoT in a workplace. It's much more about providing a decision support system. And as you see on the top left-hand side, it's about augmented collaboration, not just augmented reality. So we have this triangle that we work towards as a basis of a core framework to execute our AI, artificial intelligence, strategy. So pictorially, the digital workplace looks something like this, as we know. But it's not just about the flow of information. It's much more about the analysis and then the execution of what the analysis means to make better, faster, improved decisions. And this matrix is what we use for the card game and the card method as well. So I have a short video to play. Actually, it's not so short, but it gives you a bit more insight into some of the technologies. I was going to bring the smart glasses that we have built, but I've left them, so instead I have to substitute with a video. If we can please play.
To be visionary is really about capitalizing and drawing together and connecting people and ideas together.
There are so many different entities within Konica Minolta and the Konica Minolta business, and part of the focus of the Business Innovation Centre is somehow to create this ecosystem of the information flow.
There are remarkable innovations already within the company around lighting, around sensing.
It's very often about connecting different dots, where you have different systems and different technologies, but how you can use them for different applications.
Defining innovation as new ways of seeing. It's not always about new things, but new ways of connecting things that are already there.
Konica Minolta is a technology company, and we have core competences in optics and medical imaging, in material science and nanotechnology. Intraoperative imaging platform has the capability of combining these different competences and assets in our company. The patient is first injected with the tracer lights up the cancer cells, and the optical system allows to visualize this light, and therefore the tumor that was invisible to a naked eye is now becoming visible in the operating theatre to the surgeon.
We can draw in technologies from other divisions of our company to deliver a digital workplace for our clients. An opportunity to adapt, to observe what's going on in our client workplace, to listen to what people are saying. The digital workplaces make use of data streams from sensors and turn them into smart workflows. They make sense of what we do, they anticipate what we need and when we need it. New technologies which facilitate better collaboration, which means bringing together content dynamically, being able to share different kinds of media in the same place, both with the people in the room and people remotely. We can measure the level of noise, which people often complain about in open plan offices. We can measure light and light quality relatively easily. We can also measure things like occupancy at both the desk level and group presence in larger rooms. So the way we see the world, the way we access information is going to be based on who we are and where we are. This relates to one of fields of technology called augmented reality, which simply helps us see data that's already there.
And an augmented reality is to say bringing print to life. Through our collaboration with R&D in Japan, we've developed a beautiful lens called a holographic optical element. It's a very thin lens that sits in front of the glasses, and it's holographic, so you can see in front and you can see beyond. What we might be able to do into the future is embed AR within this lens itself. So from a practical perspective, when a user still wishes to use their hands, the instructions could be given through the lens. And one of the projects that we are looking at is how we might be able to put two lenses together, and that gives you the 3D environment as well. So you could be standing one side of London Bridge and you can visualize how that tower block would look within that space in itself. Augmented reality has been around for a number of years, and the challenge has been to take the mindset away from the solutions that might be seen as more gimmicky to those that add real value. And the positioning for Konica Minolta is to work with our customers much more closely to understand what value they wish to create and support them on their journey.
Okay, well, thanks. That wasn't intentionally supposed to be a video only of me. It's just that that guy in the video speaks better than I do, so I just wanted to share that. So as you see, some of the technologies have to tie in with business context. And when we think about this digital workplace, for me personally, the favorite part for me is on the left-hand side, around experiences and human well-being. We have an IoT desk in London that we are playing with. It's actually brought from IKEA. It's custom made, but the premise is I have a wearable device, I check in. The system knows who I am. It automatically adjusts to where I was and what I was doing before. Of course, you can raise it and you can lower it. There's a sensor at the bottom, and so I live in London, I'm working in the UK. Myself, I'm really, really bad at taking breaks, so I'm glued to my desk. So the sensor at the bottom is a motion sensor that every 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes could say, get up and go for a walk, because it detects lack of motion. So an IoT connected desk is really looking at the well-being. But as we go through this journey, on the right-hand side, it's also creating experiences around optimization, asset optimization, because that's really, from a front office and a back office point of view, equally important as well. So we have a number of different projects that I'll talk about in a couple of seconds. The partnership community, in case anyone here are startups and entrepreneurs, please get in touch, find me, I'll be floating around as well. Very, very happy and keen to hear any kind of solutions that you might be working on. It's called Leading Edge Partners, and as I say, we welcome conversation. We have around 150 partners so far. The likes, for example, of King's College in London, from an academic point of view, where you saw the glasses, the smart glasses. We're looking, we ran a hackathon over a weekend to implement or explore gestures, so haptics with the use of sensors. Voice is really important as well. The glasses currently do speak and they activate, but at the moment they're only in Japanese. So I unfortunately don't speak Japanese yet. So partnership is really, really key to everything that we do. And so some of the projects that we are working on. Firstly, you see on the left-hand side, augmented reality. Ideation is key, so a platform that exists already. The smart glasses you've seen, the card game method is also there as well. The fifth one, around asset and asset management. If, let's say you go to a dealership, a car dealership, and they have hundreds and hundreds of cars, to try and locate the car in one place, unless you know exactly where it was parked and the system said it's in the right place, okay, the probability of that is really low. So we've created this tiny little sensor that sits within the car, based on a geolocation in a given space, can very easily find the asset that you might be looking for. So hospitals, hospital beds, fire extinguishers, first aid kits, we expand that use cases a bit further. So that's the current. The midterm to long-term projects are focusing on these areas. So Mobotix is a company that we invested in a couple of years back. From a security point of view, so if you imagine a really smart camera, we have one in the North Pole and equally the Sahara Desert. It has its own processor, but the best thing is that it does thermal imaging. So if you imagine an oil and gas company that may have some kind of leakage, it does a thermal layer on top that can assess what might be going wrong as well. Smart receptionist, as you saw upstairs, this lady, her name is Alice. Alice speaks 6 different languages and welcomes people into an environment. It can connect with you wherever you might be in a building. And then the last one I just wanted to touch on is the smart meeting room booking system. Why is it smart? In my experience, I think meeting rooms are probably some of the hardest to get hold of, no matter where you are in the world. And so it starts learning behaviors. And I'm typically a culprit where I will book a room and 50% of the time not cancel it, but it's still booked under my name. So the system starts learning behavior, not tracking, because from a workforce point of view, of course, that's not the right thing to do. But is that room occupied or not? What is the temperature? What's the variances? I've booked a room for 2 people, and I'm sat in an 8-people room, because that's all I know. The system will come back to me and say, actually, no, you need to go somewhere else. The probability of a room freeing up based on predictive and preventative analytics is really where we're playing this. So I think it's a growth area around occupancy as well. Okay, so in the next couple of minutes, this is the portfolio of augmented reality that we are building. Started off with augmented print at first, and really working towards assistance, remote assistance, all the way through to data and data integration as well. We're maturing, for example, this is a beautiful space to digitize. So if I wasn't able to make it, and I still wanted to experience how it felt to be here, we did that ourselves last year at Drupal. It was about 2,500 square feet, and we scanned the whole place 360 live with all of our products and services. And the next thing I just wanted to show you, and I'll wrap up in a couple of minutes, is this. It's all well and good thinking about revenue generation and so on. I personally believe greatly in social side of innovation. So social innovation, we worked together with the Ministry of Education in Kenya and invited all of the schools to enter a competition on space, on the theme of space, to either write a story, draw a picture, or write a poem on 5 different words. And so this is the first book. We also printed augmented reality cards as well. So this is the first book of its kind, which is written by kids, for kids, and the best thing that we did from our team was to augment different layers of experiences, so it becomes an education book as well. So you can download an app and go all the way through and learn something. Okay, so I'm very quickly running out of time, so I'll go through the glasses and the next slide. So to complement the Business Innovation Center, we established an R&D facility, headquartered in London, but the lab is in Czech Republic, in Brno as well, and these are the areas that they're focusing on. I've covered some of them. Other areas, other areas are there as well. So the final thing I wanted to cover here is when we think about the printer that sits in a corner, how much do you use your printer? Maybe 20%, 30%? So we have the #1 project in Konica Minolta called the Workplace Hub that really has taken that printer and turned it more into an IT service provider. So now we have a layer as a data storage, integrated Wi-Fi, connectivity, an admin dashboard, as well as infrastructure to provide your IT services. And so that print suddenly has become your IT service provider. It's maturing towards a launch in the next 6 months. And so you'll start hearing more and more around Workplace Hub is where we are. Okay, I talked about entrepreneurship and now intrapreneurship. How do we build this culture of innovation internally? So over a period of 6 months, we have a European program that's led by the HR team that focuses on how we can get our employees focusing and working on different challenges. The finale will take place this November, and there are 9 different challenges. So entrepreneurship, equally, is really the bright minds that want to be part of this movement and momentum as well. The last thing here is white papers, so thought leadership. When we think about thought leadership, it's really key to everything, everything that we do as well. Again, there are many, many available online. We have around 12 that we've published in the last couple of years. And so the lessons learned, I won't go through every single one. I'm sure you can read them yourself. My favorite, and they're in no particular order, is culture. Do not forget about people in everything that we do. Technology, great, but yeah, just make sure that we look after our people in all that we do. So on that note, thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll welcome any questions. Thanks. Yeah.
No questions? Întrebări?
I hope at least that was a little bit clear, that no questions. The twilight zone continues. So feel free to ask in Romanian. My Romanian is great. Yes, please.
Hello, I'm Andrei. You had a thing called electronic paper. What is it?
Electronic paper? When?
You had in the presentation, you had somewhere written electronic paper.
Ah, yes. Okay, so what we were looking at is how we could potentially embed a chip into normal paper. So augmented reality is using something as an experience, but the paper itself would have a small circuit embedded, so hence it becomes electronic. And to the naked eye, you cannot even see that it's in there. So what you can do is get your phone, you can program it to do whatever you want. It could be an invitation letter, you layer it on top, it gives you directions, additional information. So it's really a small chip that we're looking to embed, but through a partner, not our own.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, no more questions, so thanks once again.